Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Hub podcast, where we talk about finance, investment, banking, and insurance, and anything that is around those topics. So today, we are blessed to have a very amazing speaker, and she's going to help us learn how we can use books as an investment. So have you thought of telling your story and letting it out there for others to learn from you, or for others to be able to see your journey in life, and you telling your stories for the next generations not to do the same mistakes or learn from the good things you've managed to achieve in life? So Leap Publishers, we are delighted to have the founder today on this podcast, and I'm happy that you've joined us, and I pray and hope that you get enough information that is going to help you start on your journey to write that book. If you felt that it's very difficult, on this podcast, we're going to see how easy it is if you have help, if you have the guidance you need. So just to take it away, you are welcome, Lena.
Thank you so much.
Introduce yourself to our listeners.
So my name is Lena Pira, but in Uganda I'm also known as Murembe. I've lived in Uganda for 14 years, full time. It's the only place I'd want to live. So
Okay.
I am the owner and founder of Leap Publishers and also an ebook platform called africanbooks.com.
So I met Lena through a mutual friend who is stroke a mentor, an amazing lady. I don't want to mention her name. Let me keep it to myself. But if you keep watching, you might be able to get to know who it actually is. And when we had that conversation, I think it was in Mienga, somewhere in Mienga, Kansanga, Mienga, in between there. It was really nice to actually get to know that someone is able to actually publish a book. And you don't have to run all the way to the big platforms that sell books, but we are actually having one that is local here. Yeah. That really made me admire you. Living all the way from the US to come and start something here in Uganda. Would love to know what really motivated you. How did this idea start?
Yes, well, it's been a long time in the making. When I first came here as a curriculum, I was doing a lot of curriculum development. And so it kind of merged into books at some point. Around 2014, I transitioned and started doing people's books. But every time we would get the final product and you have a print book, the next question would say, okay, now how about ebooks? And what I quickly discovered was that Amazon and some of these bigger platforms were restricting African authors on their platforms because they weren't selling or they weren't giving royalties to African banks.
Oh, wow.
And so an African author could put their book there, but to get the royalties out of the platform became a challenge. And so I was very hesitant to say, okay, I want to put your book on this platform because I knew down the line they might sell the book, but how do I get the money back here? And so when that question kept coming over and over and over again, my parents told me when I was younger, and they would penalize us for saying the word I can't.
Oh.
And so, yes, they would actually charge us money every time we said the word I can't. And so when my authors would come to me and say, okay, now ebooks, I couldn't say I can't. So I'd tell them, let me think of a solution. Okay. And so that's how African Books was born, africanbooks.com, because I wanted to create an ebook platform that we can use here, but that we can now sell those ebooks globally around the world. And I know the interest is there because the platform has only been up for a year, but our traffic is just insane. So we've not marketed it yet. We've not even officially really launched it. But the traffic is there. So I know people are interested in African books.
Great. And about the marketing, you're already doing it here.
Yes.
On our podcast. So our listeners
true.
are getting to know that
That's
if I'm
true.
to publish a book, I have to go to Leap Publishers.
Yes.
So I would like you to just go ahead and share with us, what are those initial steps someone needs to, take when deciding on what they want to write or publish? What are those initial steps someone needs to start with?
Usually you need an idea first.
Okay.
It's really good to start with an idea. Whether you are a teacher and you want to tell a fictional story to your students that teaches something, whether you are someone with an extraordinary story, life story, and you feel like it would benefit the world, maybe you're a pastor or, someone and you want to teach someone the knowledge that you have, or you're a specialist in an area. All of those can be starting points, but you kind of have to first have an idea. And I usually say, think of the end first, because that's where you're going to go to get
The
to the end.
end
Think with the end in
Oh,
mind.
okay.
Because if I'm going to think of a book, is my end goal teaching somebody something? Is my end goal making money? Is my end goal, bringing entertainment? What's my end goal? And that will shape how I'm going to write. It's going to shape the audience I write for. It's going to shape everything that I do about that book. Yes.
Oh, that's good. And I've heard of bestsellers, and there's so many books out there.
Yes.
Give us the components. What makes the bestseller? If you are
Yes.
publishing a book, what are those things? Teach us one or two things that we can learn on how to get our books on demand.
Yes. Well, many times authors come and they say, okay, this is what I want to write. But they don't think of it like a business model. Whereas if you're thinking of your book as a business model, you're going to want to find out first, what is the market reading? And what do they want to read?
Research.
Because in Uganda, I'll tell you about 99% of our books are nonfiction, either life stories, Christian living, those kinds of books. But the market, actually, majority want to read fiction. And so already, if you're looking to write a bestseller, you're going to want to write something in the genre that people are actually buying books. So, some of the biggest genres that people look for, of course, are fiction, romance, science fiction, but fictional tales is what people are looking for, short stories, things like that. So one, if you want to write a bestseller, write something that people actually are buying and want to buy. Two, we've all heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. It's not true in the book world.
Okay.
People judge books by their covers.
So the cover has to be
The cover
interesting.
has to pop because
Okay.
the cover is what sells books. Imagine you're at a bookstore and you have all these books up on the shelf. The thing that catches your eye is what's going to draw you to it. So you need
Yes.
your book cover to pop so
Yeah.
that it's your only advertising space
Before
on that
someone
entire
gets to
shelf.
open
Yes.
it.
Before they open it, if the cover doesn't attract them, they will never open it. Usually someone goes to the shelf. If they like the cover, they turn it over, they read the blurb. That's the second one. If the blurb captivates them, they'll open it and look at the table of contents. If the table of contents appeals, odds are you've sold that book to that person. But if those components are not there,
Wow.
you're not now that's in a bookstore. Now imagine in the
Online.
scrolling and you're on ebooks, you have a tiny little thumbnail that's like 1 inch by 2 inches maybe, and that's the only opportunity you have to catch someone, because they'll catch the cover, they'll click on the book, they'll read the blurb, and then they'll buy it. One of the other things though is also pricing. Because
Pricing.
I've seen people price books. They think that they've written they think they've written a masterpiece, and they decide they want to sell their book for $20. No one is buying books for $20. I'll tell you that. Not in America, not in Uganda. But I've seen Ugandans. Actually, recently I've seen a Ugandan. He's selling his ebook for $15. Most ebooks are selling under $4.
Under $4?
Yes.
So it's the numbers game. Don't
the numbers
focus on
game.
the amount and then have few people buying, but
Exactly.
make it affordable so you get.
One of our best sellers is a 14-year-old girl. She has 3 books on our platform. All 3 books are 99 cents. She's sold the most books of everyone on our platform.
Because it's affordable.
It's affordable. Her friends in high school can buy it. Her teachers can buy it. Her relatives can buy it. Her neighbors can buy it. And everyone's like, oh, we want to support a 14-year-old. People don't think of like, oh, okay, that's what, $1 is 3K, 4K.
Yes.
So people are like, oh, I can help this girl with 4K. They'll buy the book for 4K. But when you start telling them my book is 20K, 25, they start calculating, will I really read that book? No, probably not. Let me not buy it. I'll tell the person I'll buy it later. So it's a pricing game also.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So could you explain the various options for self-publishing?
Yes, now in Uganda, we mainly do self-publishing. Internationally, it's these traditional publishing houses. But what self-publishing is basically, let's say you have an idea for a book. You're going to come to me as a publisher, and I work a lot with self-publishers. So you come to me and you say, okay, I have this manuscript. and I want to turn it into a book. So I look at it and I tell you, okay, you need cover design, you need editing, you need this, and this. I give you an estimate. And so as a self-publisher, you pay your costs up front. So you're paying for cover design, you're paying for typesetting, you're paying for editing, all these things. But at the end, you have freedom over your book. So you think of it as a business, right? So, okay, I want to write a book. This book is my small business. What am I going to do to get my small business off the ground? I'm probably going to, look for someone to design my logo. I'm going to look for somebody to help me set up the office. All of those are things you're paying for. But at the end, you're the owner of the business and you have say over all your, income, how you're going to spend, all that. So self-publishing, that's what it is.
What are the pros and cons?
There's a lot of pros, but there's also a lot of cons. So in self-publishing, the pros are you have full say over what you want. In traditional publishing, because the publisher retains some of the ownership of the book, they dictate some of the content of the book. But a lot of self-publishing, it's really the author who dictates, because if you're paying me and you say, I want this, this, and this, I'll say, okay, let's figure out how to edit it so that you're happy, but in the end, I'm going to give you the cover you want. In a traditional publishing model, the publisher is probably going to decide on your cover. I will tell you that there's so many covers I design, and the ones I usually like the best are not usually the ones the clients choose. So sometimes as a publisher, I'm like, okay, that was like my fifth choice, but okay, if you like it, you're the one paying for the service, let me go with that. So those are some of the pros. Cons is that in self-publishing, because you own the final product, you are responsible for doing your distribution and your marketing. So a lot of people reach their book launch, and they're like, oh my goodness, I just spent the last 2 years writing this book. I'm done. Well, really, that's where the real work starts, because you've now launched this thing into the world, but you have to sell it and recoup back your money and your investment. So you need to either partner with people who know how to market and distribute your book, or you need to find platforms and things that can help you with that.
Let's talk about distribution. As a person that is trying to do self-publishing, what are the options?
For distribution, of course, you have bookstores, traditional print bookstores, especially in Uganda. People are still going to bookstores. Worldwide, it's not the case. Worldwide, print is actually below digital ebooks now. So digital ebooks, even in the African continent, is outpacing 53% to 47%. So I recommend you do a variety. Do some print, do some ebooks, figure out if you want to do audiobooks. Audiobooks are also an option. However, they're quite expensive to develop. So you figure out how to do it. Then there's also print on demand and things like that. But print on demand is not in Uganda at the moment. It will be eventually. It's something that we want to do as African books. But right now, print on demand is more for people that I would say you have external readers and they're demanding print books. Usually it becomes a bit tricky if you don't have those external accounts, because most of print on demand is done through Amazon, and you're going to have the issue with royalties again. Yes. So I usually recommend for Ugandans, do ebooks for people who are outside countries and you can't ship to them, and then do print books for the Ugandan audience.
Local market.
Yes.
So what's a realistic time frame for writing my first book?
It varies for so many people. There's one author I recently worked with. I think it took him maybe about 6 months. But we have books. There's a book I've been working on with a client. It's taken 10 years. So I'd say the average is probably 1 to 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's about 1 to 2. But it also depends on how well you write, how fast you make decisions. Because I'd say for the book that has taken 10 years, we are doing it. It's a family book. And so it's a story of one of their grandfather's lives. So there's so many people making decisions in that book that we're not getting our decisions made quickly. So if you as an author will see 5 covers and you automatically know that cover, I like it, we can settle that in a day and move on. Whereas I had one author, it took 2 years, but 1 year was just her designing on a cover.
Okay.
So
not making decisions.
yes, it depends. It really depends on every single client. Some do it really fast, 3 months and they're done. Some
Take forever.
take forever. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So I'd like us to just get back to the part of investment. How can a book, if I wrote a book today, how can it be an investment? How can it make me money? It could be a biography of a CEO. It could be a story of a small company that has grown, or a company that wants to tell their story so that probably the generations to come can learn from it, especially the empires we see. How can we use books as investments?
It's very easy, actually. I know most of my authors use them as investments. So if you've gotten that magical number of, I know what target market I have, I know what my end goal is, and my end goal is investment, you're going to tailor that book to what the market wants. Then when you're developing the book, you're smart about what you're investing in. So most people, unless you're very famous, I don't recommend hiring a ghostwriter because it's really, really expensive.
Okay.
Unless you're Obama who hires his ghostwriter, unless you're, President Museveni who may or may not hire his ghostwriters, those kinds of people who are going to make their money back. I would say try and put in the work to at least have a rough draft of a manuscript because it's a lot cheaper for you to bring me a manuscript and say, edit this, than it is for you to come to me with just an idea and say, write this.
Correct.
So make smart choices. The things that you can do on your own, that you can do well, do them. The things that are critical for success, cover, editing, all those things, hire someone that will help get your foot in the door. If you're really great at marketing, make sure you market it. It's not a set it and forget it. Some people put an ebook online and they think in the next week they're going to have sold 1 million copies. They've never advertised, they never put links on social media, they haven't told anyone. Yeah, advertise yourself. Don't just say, okay, I've written it, I'm done. Because you wouldn't do that in any other investment. If you started a small business, you wouldn't launch the business and then never show up for work.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with a book. If you never show up to market it, you never talk about it, you never go on a podcast to share about it, then who's going to know about your book?
Correct.
Yeah. So then it will be an investment sitting on the shelf.
Okay. I'd like to ask you a question on something that you've just shared. What do I need to do myself and when do I need help? Or what do I need help with, especially when it comes to
I would
publishing?
always recommend coming to someone before you're too set on your book. Some of the challenges that authors have is they're in love with their product. And they think it's excellent and they don't want to change it. So even when a professional comes and says, I advised we change this cover, they won't want to change it because they've fallen in love with it. Yeah, so don't be too attached when you come to someone, but come and seek professional advice and say, what do you think about this cover? Our print house will do reviews for you. We usually do it at about 100K. So you come to us and say, okay, review this product that I have. What do you think about it? We've done it for some people and we've given them recommendations and they've followed. Some have not, but it's up to them because it's their investment.
Because you're guiding them.
Yes. So be willing to take advice. A lot of people think, I have a neighbor that speaks very good English, so they can be my editor. It's not the same thing when you're editing professionally for a book versus, you're just editing some.
And what I've noticed is we speak very good English, but we write very poorly.
Yes.
And when it comes to editing, I don't know.
Yes.
But we struggle with that.
And there's so many different types of editing. We have structural editing, we have content editing, we have proofreading, we have grammar and whatever. So we have so many different types of editing that you can't think that I've read my book once,
I've
and
edited
it's
it.
edited. Some books that we do, we edit them like 20, 30 times.
Wow.
And you can still find that on a launch day. I don't know how it happened.
You feel like there's a
You
mistake.
find one mistake there, and you're like, how did that thing sneak past us? We have read this book so many times, and then you pray, Lord, let no reader find it. And I don't know how the reader finds it, but they'll tell you on page 35, we found an error, and you're like, oh no. So it usually happens, but it happens a lot less when you have a professional editing team that knows what they're doing.
Perfect. So Lena is CEO and founder of Leap Publishers. In case you want to start writing, please check them out. You're going to share your details so that people can reach out to you. I feel like in Africa, we're not telling our stories very well. There's so much to say here. There's so much we need to learn because we feel like we need to do everything, but you've made it seem so easy in terms of where to start. You've really broken it down. Where do you need the help? What do you need to do? And I feel like I'm even more inspired. I'm keeping a journal.
Yes.
So give me a few months.
Yes.
I'll be knocking on your doors.
That will be great. Africa is reading more and more these days.
Correct.
So
Very
they do estimate, especially the ebook market, they expect it to grow a lot in the next few years because internet accessibility has become more. So it's really an untapped market at the moment. So when you're an early entry person into that market as your ebooks and your print books, you can really go far.
So what are your last words to our listeners?
I would say don't be afraid. The reason I called my company Leap Publishers because the first book is usually a leap of faith. You're starting to put yourself out there, and if you see the logo, there's a little person jumping off of the
it was a
which is a
monkey.
mountain. No, it's a girl jumping off of a mountain.
With a star?
Not quite sure where you're going to land.
It's a girl.
It's a girl. She's jumping, and the bottom of the A has a target.
I wish the producer is able to zoom in.
It has a target symbol there that she's not quite sure, but she's going to take that leap, especially when you're writing a personal story, a true story about yourself, and you're like, oh, should I put this out there? Should I not? You have to be comfortable to put it out there because, like I've told some people, if you're not 100% comfortable and you try and leave things out of your story, your reader is going to know you're lying to them as an author. And so readers can sniff out lies in books. So when you're writing, write with authenticity and write with your whole heart. If you're not 100% ready to tell the story yet, find a story that you are ready to tell or, an area that you are ready to talk about and start with that.
Okay.
But if your story is too hard, your personal story, start with something easier. And what I also say is that the best writers are the best readers.
Oh.
So
Okay.
read, because the way you read, it will impact the way you write. So the more you read, the better.
Oh, that's great. And we thank you so much for taking off time to come to our studios. We hope to see you
pleasure.
soon. And thank you for the books. Lena brought a whole lot of books that she has published. Let me just check this out. Why Did I Die?
Now, does that cover attract your...
Yeah.
That's what
Why
was
Did I
saying.
Die, Mabel?
Yes.
Majezi.
Now, this lady writes stories. She is an accident investigator for UNRWA.
Oh, okay.
So she investigates fatal accidents on roads.
Oh, a case for a road traffic accident victim.
And so she's making the case of these are how people are dying on our roads. And she gives gory details. So, everyone who sees that thing is like, why did you put blood on the cover? Well, she's talking about people being decapitated. She's talking about people, all kinds of things. And those that like CSI kind of stories, they love this book. Whether they want to know about road safety or not, they are learning something about road safety. They are learning to drive better, but they're getting very interesting stories. So that's what I was saying. A cover speaks 1,000 words. I had that cover I had that book sitting on my table, and the plumber came home and he's like, I want to buy it. And he's not even a reader. I said, do you read? No, but that cover looks great,
Yes.
This is another one. Like this one.
This looks nice.
The title is catchy. The cover it's called Widows Wear Lipstick.
Okay.
It's about a woman whose husband died tragically when she was around 29, 30 years old. She had 2 young girls and she was pregnant. So it's her story about going through that whole thing, how husband
Martha
died.
Twinama Siko.
Yes. So that author is located in Barra.
In Barra.
Yes, she is. She ships books, but she also has ebooks, so
I love
people
the
can
cover.
buy the ebook.
Looks nice.
Yeah. So we have many as a publishing house.
And these are all Ugandans.
They're all Ugandans.
Amazing.
We've published about 152
In how
books.
long?
In the last, I'd say 5 years or so.
Oh, that's a big
And
achievement.
even this year alone, we have 8 books up for awards. So
For awards,
Yes.
like nominated.
yes,
That's
nominated.
good. So you're doing quite well.
yeah, we're doing well. People are writing
And people are actually buying. So people are able to
People are
put their
buying.
books on your platform.
Yes, yes.
And people get to buy. How do they get to
Yes.
monetize? You get to pay them?
yes.
Is
So
that
there's a
monthly,
dashboard.
quarterly? How is it done?
We have a payout system. So like, let's say you as an author, you go up there, it's a self-publishing platform. So you create your account for free. You log in, you upload your books, we approve them. And then you watch and track. It's almost like an investment back-end platform. You see, okay, today I made 3 sales. This is what sold. Tomorrow I made 1 sale. And you can track, this is what I earned on each sale. So there's a running amount of how much you've earned. And once you earn the equivalent of $25, which is about $100K, you just put in a payout request. So every $25, you can put in a payout request.
nice.
And you tell us, I either want a mobile money payout or I want a bank account payout.
So you have options.
So we have options.
that's good.
So some of our authors have decided, no, I don't want to withdraw until I get to $100. So they've set their targets and they're like, no, you know what? This is my target. Let me wait. So that's what some are doing. And others are like, I want my money every $25. So they come, they just log in. It's on demand. As soon as you ask for it,
Nice.
we
So
pay it.
we have Lee publishers here in Uganda. You're able to put your books online. So even if you're not looking at having the startup capital to print a physical book,
Yes.
you can launch an ebook, start there, and then grow into
Print, yes.
a print and physical ones.
Yes.
We would love to thank you so much for being with us up to this time. I know it's not very easy to stay on listening to ladies talking to you about publishing and books and of course investment, banking and insurance, because that's what we focus on here. We hosted Lena today because we believe that as we do as we go about our day-to-day life, it's good for us to tell our stories. And like we've learned today, when you publish a book, it's actually an investment. It can earn you money. So it's not just you buying the books, but it's you also participating in the writing. So it becomes a source of income. So for those that are looking for side hustles, use your expertise, use your knowledge, whatever you know today. Somebody out there would love to know and learn about it. And you can do it through publishing. Until next time, bye for now.